Hi everybody, welcome back to the Petit Saint Crochet blog. I'm Elise and this is little Meg Rabbit. I think she turned out so cute. She's from the Little Cotton Rabbits patterns, and today I'm going to be sharing with you all about how to make a cable cast on and a little bit about blocking. Those are two fundamental skills that you will need to learn to be able to hand knit toys. But first of all, I'd like to give you a little background on why this is named Meg. So this little rabbit is named after my oldest child. So surprisingly, she looks a lot like my oldest daughter. And those of you who knew my daughter when she was little, you will see the resemblance for yourself, I am sure. But also, I got these little glasses from a Christmas ornament that I had laying around. I know, it's August and I had a Christmas ornament laying around, and I tried it on her and I thought, oh my goodness, that looks so cute. So now I'm actually on the hunt for little glasses that I could add to my hand knit toy. So if you have any resources, if you know where you could get some of those types of things, would you please leave a comment below and let me know where you get them from. But let's go ahead and get started. So before we get started, we are going to talk a little bit about something that's pretty important. Number one, I'm going to be sharing techniques for how to make the little cotton rabbits, but I am not going to be sharing any part of the pattern. So for example, I'm going to be sharing today how to do the cable cast on and a little bit about blocking, but I am not going to be sharing any part of the pattern here on the blog or in the YouTube video. So I just want to make sure everybody understands that. And also, just to emphasize and just to share this information in case you don't know, it's really actually not okay to share patterns. When you purchase the pattern, you purchase it for your own personal use, and Susie down the block, who's your best buddy, who wants to borrow the pattern and print it off, you can't do that. She needs to buy her own pattern. The great thing is that this is only a $5 pattern. And to be honest, these patterns are so well written. They're actually tutorials in and of themselves. They're 18 to 20 pages long. They are an incredible resource. So good that in fact that you may not even need this blog post or this YouTube video to help. But I am here in case you do run into any problems. But today we are going to go over the cable cast on and a little bit about blocking, so stay tuned. You need to use the cable cast on. So it's a little bit different than your typical long tail cast on, and one of the best benefits is that you don't have to measure out how long this tail needs to be because it doesn't matter. But let me just give you some advice. When making hand knit toys or amigurumi, I typically like to leave a nice long tail because you're either going to use it to seam something up or sew a body part together, so it's just nice to always have it long. So the first thing you're going to do is make a slip knot, and the way I do it is I just wrap it around a couple of fingers and then pull this loop through. And the reason why it's called a slip knot is that you can just make it as big or as little as you need it to be. So you may have your own way for making a slip knot, and that is just fine. It really doesn't matter. So for the cable cast on, make sure you're working with your working yarn here and not your tail. You're going to take this first little loop that you have, your slip knot, and you're going to enter, and now I'm right-handed obviously, so if you're left-handed, I'm sure there's other resources out there. You're going to take your needle and you're going to, this is how you knit, you're going to take it from the left side of that stitch and you're going to take it and put it behind there like this. Okay, so you've got it there, you kind of hold on to it with your left hand, and then I wrap my yarn around like this, and I'm going to take it around that right hand needle, and you're going to slip it down and pull it through here. So now I have a loop on my right and a loop on the left. Now what you're going to do now is you're going to pull this a little bit out, and you're going to take that left needle underneath your loop, your right hand loop here, and you're just going to pull it in so that now you have 2 stitches. Now remember, keep this loose. I typically like to do things tight, but that is really going to cause a lot of problems, so keep it loose as possible. So now that we have 2 stitches here, we're going to start our 3rd stitch. So we're actually going to go in between the first 2 stitches. So if you can kind of see in the back here, that's where I'm going, just like this. I'm going to take my yarn back in my right hand, and I'm an English knitter, so this is how I do it. And I'm going to wrap around my right hand needle, pull it through these 2 loops, and I'm going to give myself a nice long loop here. I'm going to take my left hand needle underneath here, so if you can see, it's underneath, and I'm going to take my right hand needle and just pull it through gently. Now I have 3 stitches. So the same thing, you go back between your 2nd and 3rd stitch now. So I'm going between the 2, I'm wrapping around, pulling it through the loop here. I'm going underneath and pull. Do it one more time. I'm going to go between the 3rd and the 4th stitch here, so it's going, my needle's going right between. I'm wrapping around. I am pulling that loop through, and I'm pulling it long enough, and I'm taking my left hand needle up underneath and pulling through. So now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stitches on my left hand needle. Also, when I am knitting toys or crocheting them, I typically do not need to block the actual animal at all. So for the little bunny here, nothing on her body, nothing on this is blocked. But the clothes I do block. I block almost every single piece of clothing that they wear, and this particularly was the little lace hem here. This truly needed to be blocked. Now you can use these little blocking mats, and the reason why I like them is that they have the little squares, and I will leave a link for them in case you would like to buy these particular ones. I really like it. And you also always need rust proof pins, because when these suckers get wet, if they were to rust, it's going to get on your yarn and it's not going to come out, and that would be really, really terrible. So what I did with this is I actually steam blocked it. I got my iron out and I just steamed over it. I didn't touch it at all. So you can also just get a spray bottle of water and just spray it. You could put it under the sink, whatever you want to do, but I'm kind of liking this steam blocking idea right now. It seems like it's a little bit quicker, they dry a little bit faster, and I wish I had taken a before picture so you could see how crumpled this was, but really do block the clothing. One important thing that you really need to know about blocking is that certain yarns you cannot put heat on. So for wet blocking, you really should be fine for most yarns, but I always recommend that you look at the label, really read those labels to make sure what type of heat that you can put on it, because when I can steam block, I've been steam blocking this baby cashmerino, it's been absolutely fine, but certain yarns are not going to do well with steam blocking. For example, some acrylics won't do well and some wools won't do well. They can't handle the straight heat. So always check your labels to make sure that what you're using can take the heat and can take the amount of water that you're going to be putting on it. And then that way you'll always be happy with how it turns out. So I want to share some of my favorite resources for knitting the little cotton rabbit. So first of all are the knitting needles. These Addi, the Turbo Rocket, are my absolute favorite. I really love how they feel, and they're metal, and they're just wonderful. But you're gonna need to refer to the pattern because you're going to need more than one size. So you'll need a pattern to know that, but I also have a link to these in my blog post in case you're interested in these. Also, my favorite yarn for the body is the Barocco Vintage. And what I love about this yarn is that, number one, it is beautiful. Those colors are just so gorgeous. It is really soft, but also it is very strong. So when you need to do all that seaming, this works so well. But also for the clothing, I love the Debbie Bliss Baby Cashmerino, and this is the acid yellow color. This is one of my favorite colors. I think it is so gorgeous. But like I said, in the pattern, you will find all the information about the yarns and the needle sizes and all of that you're going to need to use. But I have links to some of my favorites here. But also, I want to share this book with you. This Vogue Knitting, Ultimate Knitting book this is the bomb. I am so glad I bought this. I think I paid like $25. I also have a link for it. And it is my go-to now. This is an absolute huge book. It's massive in size. There is so much information in here, and I know that this is going to be an incredible resource for me for a long, long time, because sometimes, yes, it's nice to have a tutorial on YouTube, but sometimes you just need to see a picture, you just want to read, and there is so much detailed information, everything about shawls and designing and basic skills and everything in between. So I would really highly recommend having this as a resource if you don't have it, just to have for whenever you need to look at something and you need to reference how to make something, and not even just toys, everything in between. So this is a fantastic resource. Little Meg Rabbit and I would like to thank you for stopping by the Le Petit Saint Crochet blog, where I share all about whimsical amigurumi, creative crochet, and running a handmade business. And if you are a first-time visitor, thank you so much for coming by. If you would please subscribe so that you can stay up to date with everything going on here. And also, if you would like the video, if you would comment, I would love to hear from you. And if you are returning, thank you. I love you so much. Thank you for coming by. And stay tuned. We will keep working through the skills that you need to have to be able to knit toys for your very own. See you next week.